You are listening to the Gentle Wave podcast, a place to remember your own true essence in wild reclamation. My name is Ina Jane, and I'm holding the space for you today. Words to nourish your soul, inspire your mind, and anchor your body in the remembrance that you hold all that you need inside of you. You are already whole. So let's own what we know, let's inspire each other, and let's write new pathways together. They say wounds heal with time. I found that not to be true. Time is not the healer, presence is. It just needs so much courage and bravery to sink into that presence that it appears to be time that mends, but it is presence every time. Today I sit on the steps that lead down into the ocean, a cup of steaming tea in between the palms of my hands. The waves keep rolling in, dancing around the carved-in stepping stones, nibbling at my feet, before retreating again. I take a sip of tea and breathe in the mix of herbs and salty air. The water is blue, the sun is shining, clouds are hanging low over the mountains in the distance. There is hardly any wind, yet a slight breeze keeps ruffling the leaves on the trees behind me. Thoughts are rushing in, crashing on the surface of my mind, tearing at my attention with fears and doubts and questions. I take another sip of tea, hugging the cup a little closer to my chest, closing my eyes and taking a deep breath. And in the darkness I sit, listening to the wild unraveling of thoughts while the world around me keeps moving. I offer myself this moment of stillness. For me it is a necessary part of growing, for the world to disappear from time to time. While bare feet on the ground, the breeze in my hair, and the smell of salty air playfully tugging at my nostrils, being present becomes that fragile dance between being connected in a rooted sensual way to my surroundings, while closing my eyes, sinking deep, deep into my inner landscape. I sense a little hand slipping into mine and feel the buzzing of excitement, curiosity run through my fingertips and up my arms, a sensation that ignites a smile on my face and brings a hand to my heart. I remember her, the little me, bursting with excitement, anticipating the next moment, the next step as an adventure, ready to lean into what might feel scary, because that whispered promise of expansion always spoke so much stronger to her than the fear. And then out of nowhere, in the middle of white noise of running thoughts, a pocket of quiet opens in my mind, with only one word ringing in the silence. And I know, this is the step. I open my eyes, and although everything around me seems to have kept its shape, with this newfound wild focus, it all looks that little bit different. Like looking at the same view from a different fractal of the same crystal. I turn my back to the ocean and walk over to the table where I often sit when I create. Worn wood, moss-covered, broken in most places from branches that have fallen off the tree that stands just behind it, creating a little half roof, making me feel sheltered. I lay out paper and pans, unpack colors and brushes, a notebook and a plate, open the bottle with spring water and pour a bit of it in a small jar. I prop up the cushions in the chair and sit down. Moving the pen across the page of my notebook is the first step. Swirls and curves of letters appearing where before there was just a white surface. Black shapes weaving a tapestry of meaning onto a blank canvas. One word. I strap a white piece of paper onto the folder that holds the collection of paintings already finished, and lay the plate on top to draw a circle. Then I look at the word written on the notebook page, pause for a moment, and let it sink in, feel it, until the letters seem to come alive in my body. That is when I pick up the charcoal, and within the boundary of the circle I allow myself to run wild, inspired by the shapes of the letters that make up the word. It is here where I begin, only ever one step at a time, from swirling charcoal pen to choosing a color and then letting the brush spill paints into shapes. Nothing to do but to follow that inexplainable felt vision that I know is guiding me. Although many times during the process it is going to feel like I don't have a clue and want to go back, correct, give up entirely. Most steps feel like that, to be honest. The wide noise of running thoughts gets carried on gusts of emotions and get woven into the tapestry of shapes and colors, into the circle in front of me. And in this creative process, the fog of resistance clears from time to time, and I can allow the thoughts to rise in sharp relief, able to meet them with playful curiosity, even tapping into a sense of gratitude, knowing they are only rising in preparation to move through, to point me towards the energy held in my body and being, that needs to be moved through, to set free whoever I become. I have shown up to this table in front of a blank page often in the past year, out of a desire to be held somehow through the fault lines and hurricanes of life, where it seemed that I was unable to control anything. Sitting here painting, I had hoped to find some sense of control, containment, predictability. Instead, hanging out on the threshold of the blank page, letting whatever was alive within me alchemize in the sensual dance of pen and brush on paper, I found myself building an intimate relationship with the unknown. It became a light to guide me home through all the flavors of life. When removing myself, cutting myself off, isolating, felt like the only way through, this sensual experience of movement and stillness held me, kept me connected and curious. A reminder that we have never been here before, each moment an open doorway, beckoning us to a fresh beginning, a new perspective. Creating each and every one of those paintings felt like a rewilding of the felt sense of knowing we carry in ourselves, and the remembering that meaning is created through us. In the space of painting, I allow myself to feel, to not make sense, to not have everything or actually anything figured out, and to not let that stop me from stepping forward. Here the unknown becomes a sensual experience, a flow of letting things occur, peeling away the layers of confusion rooted in ideas of right and wrong. Meeting myself again and again in the tender courage of permission. Here I feel the invisible has a way of becoming tangible, a mirror that allows me to see from a different vantage point each time, so that I see the fractals in new light and can allow them to fall into place in unforeseen ways. Today's painting was inspired by the word courage. Now that it is almost complete, there is just one unknown in front of me. The shape at the center of the painting still calls for some color. Resistance rises. I don't like when one shape is left asking for yet another color. It brings a gust of doubt, sharpens the fear of failure, of messing it all up to a cutting edge, making it really hard to melt into the known inside. I take a deep breath, lean back, frustrated to be held up yet again by the unknown, only a breath away from promised completion. When a drop of water lands in the empty space on the painting, I look up. The clouds that had covered the sun a while back have now released a drizzle of rain. The garden around me is already veiled in a thin layer of droplets. Only the large leaves of the tree behind me, my little half-roof, has sheltered me, until now, from the change of weather, and had me stay unaware of the rain. From one second to the next I spring into action. I drop the brush, almost turn over the chair, when I jump up to cover the still paint-wet drawing with my body, and grasp for everything I can reach to throw it into the bag next to me. In the distance, thunder is dancing on the mountain tops, and the wind is tugging more and more incessantly at the piece of paper in my hand. I swear silently, grab the now full bag, and walk hastily over to the house, still trying to shelter my creation on the way. Why is this happening? I should have seen this coming. I'm such an idiot. I should have prepared better. Why did I not pay attention? The cacophony of judgment that had been a background current to the whole creative process, now on the gust of sudden outside change, has gained momentum and echoes full force through my mind on the way. Arriving in front of the house, I remember my washing that I hung up earlier today. I rush up the steps to the terrace and dump everything on the floor under the roof. And in that moment, the circle, still paint-wet with courage, gets caught by a gust of wind and tumbles down the steps. I rush after it. Of course it has landed face down on the wet grass. Exasperated, I turn it over, ready to assess the damage, when my eyes catch on the painting. My attention moves along the charcoal swirls and dances with the colors in the circle, and I find myself leaning back on my heels. A pause opens in the middle of my wild rushing around, trying to beat the rain. And in the middle of the noisy cacophony of thoughts, a glimpse of the painting, not even finished, becomes a portal into the yet unseen, and brings with it a shift in perspective. A silence unravels within me, and I smile. I know the next step, and it is nothing like what I thought it would look like. One last look at the painting before I put it down on the terrace floor under the roof. Then I turn around, walk to the middle of the wild meadow in front of the house, pause for a moment, look around, making sure the bushes and trees around me shelter me from view, and then follow inspiration into action. I take off my top, peel off my trousers and the rest of my clothes, and let the rain wash down my body. At first it feels just wrong. I shouldn't do that. Who will see? Is this okay? I should be going for the washing instead. This is childish. And then I sense that little hand again slipping into mine, and the vibrant peace of knowing hums through the opening created by the creative process of painting. I close my eyes, lift my face to the rain, and twirl, my feet painting a circle into the wet grass. And then I know the color that will sit at the heart of the painting. And despite how it might look on the outside, I know that I am making sense in that moment in a way that goes beyond words. I put up my arms and dance in the rain, feeling a childlike wonder spread through my body, and in that moment I am both her and me. The girl that once stood with that bubbling excitement in the silence of her own courage, and the woman who wears fear like a shield. We are the same. Before the vision melts, I know I will probably not see her again in that way. The creative process of painting has set her free, as part of the woman dancing in front of a house, laughter bubbling up her chest. That girl who in the absence of guidance once traded courage for control in order to feel held somehow in the unfolding of the wild dance of growing human, got to feel safe that day. I was ready to hold space for her as who I had become, and to integrate that wild courage into the pages of the woman I was about to become. We can never truly know where the next step leads, how the pieces will fall into place, and what if that's okay? What if the inklings, intuitive visions, flashing moments of clarity and felt visions that we get and feel are like the imaginary cells in the chrysalis, already knowing who we are becoming, even if we feel we are going nowhere? What if we call the moment when we decide to sit in the full presence of who we are, with nothing left but to find our own way home, an act of bravery? Creativity to me is not restricted to the arts. Our whole lives are creations. To meet life in creative expression is a way to both digest it, to be held in the unfolding of the human journey, and at the same time a way to sit with what lingers just out of sight, what is unexplainable but needs to move through us. It keeps us connected and deeply rooted with all our senses, and it starts behind closed eyelids, within our inner landscapes. To not just be a passenger on the road of my own life, but to truly feel the ground beneath my bare feet, to let the colors wash through my irises and touch me in places that I didn't even know existed. Creating is a way to be conscious. Creativity is a way to stay connected to ourselves and to each other. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Gentle Wave podcast. I hope it lands in between the pages of your life as nourishment and inspiration. We are here to be wild. We need you. We need your perspective. We need you making sense in and of this world in your very own way. That, to me, is the true revolution, right here in the heart of ourselves. A powerful wave rooted in the softening of our very relationship with ourselves, weaving soul circles into our bodies. That is why every episode of the Gentle Wave podcast is accompanied by a home retreat, an offering for you to dive deeper into the topic of each episode and unlock your unique, wild gentleness through small acts of awareness and presence. If that sparks your curiosity, please subscribe to my newsletter below and receive free access to your 1-hour Gentle Wave home retreat with every episode. Thank you for your presence on this wild human ride. Until next time, I wish you a journey of playful curiosity and wild ease.